Hello everyone. So our new topic for this chapter, the digestive system of class 9th, is the test for major nutrients. So the nutrients are the component of the food that provides energy to the body. We all know that. And we also know that there are five major nutrients that are present in our food that we eat in our regular basis, that is the carbohydrates, protein, fats, vitamins and minerals. So all these nutrients are present in our body and in our food. So how can we find out that the particular food items is rich in which type of nutrients? So if you talk about the presence of carbohydrates, proteins and fat, that can be tested by performing simple experiment. And now we will learn how to test or how test tests are carried out and what material are required to perform these types of experiment. It actually means that the food item that contain the carbohydrates or the proteins or the fat, so how we can find or how we can indicate these nutrients is they are actually present or they are not. So by all this activity we will conclude that ki all the food items contain some amount of carbohydrates, some food item contain high amount of fat and some food item contain high amount of protein. So starting with the test for the carbohydrates. So for the material, for all the experiment we required some amount of material, that is the dilute solution of the iodine. It means the iodine contains some amount of water to make it dilute. Second one, that is the copper sulfate, and the third one is caustic soda. All these items are regularly not used in our house, but some of these are easily available in our school's lab. So these all activity can be performed in front of your teacher. So the starting with the test for the carbohydrates, it include the two tests. That means the test for the glucose and the second one the test for the starch. So in the term of the test for glucose, takes a small amount of glucose and dissolve it in a mixed water, or we can say water in a clean test tube. So take some amount of glucose and mix it in a water in a test tube. After that we need to add 5-6 drops of the Benedict solution. So what is this Benedict solution here? So Benedict solution is basically a mixture of copper sulfate, sodium hydroxide and a tartaric acid. So all this contains in one vessels makes a Benedict solution. So in glucose water we add 5-6 drop of this Benedict solution that include the copper sulfate, sodium hydroxide and tartaric acid, and heat it for about 2 minutes. So after that what we will observe? So we will observe that if it's come a brick red precipitate, then it's confirm the presence of glucose. So if any brick red or reddish color precipitate is found or observed on the test tube base, so it confirms that there is a presence of glucose on that test tube. So this was for the test of the glucose. Now the second one, that is the test for the starch. So for the starch we need to prepare a dilute solution of iodine so that we can confirm that any food item that contain the starch. So how can you prepare a dilute solution of iodine? So add a few drops of tincture iodine, or that is added to a half filled with water. So when a dilute solution of the iodine is added to food item that contains the starch, that is basically we can say a raw potato. For example, you can take a raw potato, and on that raw potato the color of the food item changes to blue, then it's indicate the presence of starch. So when a dilute solution of iodine is added to a food item which contains the starch, and if the food item's color changes to blue, that it indicates the presence of starch on it. So you can observe this experiment on a raw potato. So after that you will find that potato contains a huge amount of starch on it. Not only potato, you can use other food items that contain starch are the rice, sugarcane, maize or mango, sweet potato and etc. So all these food items contains huge amount of starch, and this can be identified with the help of dilute solution of iodine. Now the third one, that is the test for the protein. For that we need two solutions. The first one is the copper sulfate solution, and the second one is solution of caustic soda. So for the preparation of the copper sulfate solution, we need to add 2 gram of sulfate that is dissolved in about 100 ml of water. So for the preparation of this solution, we need 2 gram of copper sulfate that is added in 100 ml of water. After that, your solution gets ready. And for the second experiment, you need a solution of caustic soda that includes the 10 gram of caustic soda dissolved in the 100 milliliter of water. Now if these two solutions are used to test the presence of protein in food item, if a food item that contains the protein turns violet when added 2 drops of the copper sulfate and 10 drops of the caustic soda, if added to this food item, so it confirms that the food item contains protein if the food item's color turn into the violet color. So this confirms the test of the presence of the protein in on any food item. Now at last, the topic is about the testing for the fat. In order to test for the fat, we need two or three food items that contains a huge amount of oil, such as the french fries. If you crunch it on a paper, you will observe that the paper containing a huge amount of oil, and the paper will be basically turns into the translucent. That basically makes the paper light visible. So for this experiment, the food items containing fat is crushed on the piece of a paper, and this paper is then dried and viewed against the light. So you will observe that an oily patch on the paper, making it translucent. So translucent is basically light is faintly visible through it, and this confirms the presence of fats in this food item. So let us perform a test to find the presence of a food item in the. For that we need a few ground nuts and then wrap them in a piece of paper, and if then crush them in such a way that paper is not torn, and after that let the paper dry. And if you see, or if you hold the paper against the light, you will observe a oily patch formed on the portion of the paper where the nuts were crushed, or you will observe that the light can faintly pass through the oily patch. That means it confirming the presence of the fat on that food item. So this was all about the testing of the major nutrients that contains in our food item. For that we have already studied about the few, that is the test for the carbohydrates, which includes the two, that is the test for glucose and the test for starch. Another one, that is the test for the protein, if any food item that contains the protein turns the color into violet after adding the two solutions, that is the copper sulfate solution and the second one is caustic soda solution. And the third one, that is the testing for the fat. So this is basically an easy, you can also do it in your home. So here the chapter ends. In next video I will come with another chapter. Till then, thanks for watching this video.